while back, I picked up a project bike that needed a ton of work, and I'm happy to say much of it has been done. It's getting there. But one of the few things left is the exhaust system. It's a complete turd. Now, the bike did come with an FMF exhaust system, but it looked a little worse for the wear. Eventually, I plan on picking up a shiny new system, but for the time being, I figured I'd see what I can do with the old system, and in this video in particular, the silencer.
I'm not sure how well it's going to clean up, but we're going to give it a shot. Today's video, we are going to try and polish this absolute turd of a silencer. This came off my Project 2-stroke bike, and I've got my work cut out for me. It's full of oil, it's filthy, it's got some scrapes on it, but we're going to see if we can polish this thing up. Part of that, of course, is repacking it as well. I have some packing here from FMF. We're going to throw that in. That might seem like a bit of a daunting job, but it's really not. It's actually pretty easy to do. We got our high temp silicone, we got the packing, we got some good old fashioned elbow grease, and this thing is going to need quite a bit of it. Roll that intro, let's get started on polishing this turd.
Now, first things first, we gotta take it apart so we can clean it up. The silencer is actually pretty simple to do. Either it has rivets or it has bolts to pull out. If it's completely riveted, you'll have to drill those out and then replace it with bolts. If it just has bolts, that's pretty straightforward. Pop the bolts out, and then using a rubber mallet, you can just hammer the end cap completely off. Once you have them apart, you can clean all the residual oil both inside and on the outside, and on this, there was quite a bit. Now, lucky for me, I have a wash bin in my garage, which allowed me to remove most of the heavy grease and grime. Once I had all that built up grease out of the way, it was just a matter of polishing it up a bit, using a little bit of that old-fashioned elbow grease.
Well, it's certainly cleaned up pretty well, as you can see, especially for an older system. Now, that being said, it does have a few scrapes and a few buffs left in it, but hey, this will do the trick until I can get a new one installed on that project bike. Now it's time to actually repack the thing and put it back together. It's pretty easy to do, but there are a couple things that you want to keep in mind when you're going to put this thing back together.
Now, once it's apart and cleaned up, you can get ready to put the new packing in. Now, the first thing to keep in mind is the length of the packing. You want to make sure that the packing doesn't run over the end of the core. That's because the end of the core actually fits into the end cap. You do want to cut it about 3/4 to an inch longer than the length of the core so that when it's actually all put together, it fits snugly into that end cap. But you don't want the blanket covering the end of the core during installation. Installing the blanket's pretty simple. Once it's measured to the proper size, tightly wrap it around the core and use some masking tape to hold it in place. And don't worry about the masking tape causing concerns because it'll just burn off once the pipe gets up to operating temperature. In addition, that allows the blanket to expand, filling the inside of the silencer. And finally, just grab some high temperature silicone and apply a small thin bead around the joint. When you put it back together, make sure that the core fits into the end cap, the silicone is on there, and just tap it back together.
Now, you should allow 8 to 10 hours for that silicone to fully dry before you actually throw this thing on there and get your bike started and get using it. But other than that, you're good to go. I think it actually turned out pretty good. No, it's not brand new, but it's a good way to save some money. So if you're on a budget, pretty reasonable. The packing itself, 10 to 15 bucks. The silicone was, I think, $5, and make sure it's high temperature silicone, of course, goes without saying. And the elbow grease to do it, well, that's just plain free. And it turned out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. I might not even buy a brand new one. I might just throw it on there with the main exhaust. Now, the main exhaust itself, I'm gonna do that in another video. It's a turd as well, and it's gonna take a lot more elbow grease than this thing did to fix it up. But I'll put a video on that as well. Now, if you're wondering where I got the packing and stuff, I'm gonna link everything below. I'll show you where I got all that. Totally easy, totally doable. Great way to freshen up your exhaust system. I hope you liked the video. I hope it helped you in some way. If so, smash that subscribe button for me. You know I appreciate it as always. And I hope to see you out there. If I do, stay safe, ride safe, stay Rona free, and we'll see you in the next video.